gotten to that moment, let's open the box up. Nice, big spray foam. Oh, now we're talking. Look at that. Oh, she's beautiful. That is gonna be sharp. Sticking right back here, you guys will see a nice big red circle there. That's the Cleanfix fan. And that is gonna pull a tremendous amount of air through this Kohler, but now Big Bud radiator. You can almost see it up there if you look closely. It still says Kohler on it. But we need that air because when you got more horsepower, you got a lot of BTUs you gotta get rid of. Gotta get that taken from liquid, heat, transferred to air and pumped out the sides, and that is where that's gonna come in handy. So we're excited to run this Cleanfix fan. Thank you, Cleanfix, for working with us on this. Because not only is the transmission produce a ton of heat, the engine produces a ton of heat, and then whatever else you're doing is just gonna keep adding to the BTU. So with this radiator being bigger than the stock one that was on there, and that shell and tube on the side that's pulling all the heat from the transmission, and then of course all your coolant pumped through the engine, when this veins out to full aggressiveness, whatever you wanna call it, it's just gonna suck air like crazy. But then, if you're running cooler, say you're not working as hard, it's cooler outside, the vanes will change their pitch and won't be as aggressive, won't eat as much horsepower to run, and won't be cooling your coolant down unnecessarily. Does that make sense? So we're excited, so let's put this on here. One more step. What's that, leg arms?
Well, it's something I made for the fan.
Yeah, it's pretty, isn't it?
It's gonna fit.
You did a good job on it?
Oh, yeah,
Are you pretty proud of yourself?
Oh yeah, it's stout. It ain't breaking.
Is it one of your biggest accomplishments in life?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yep.
But this one's billet.
No!
Billet machine.
I'm gonna go out. It's not that they didn't trust me, which they probably didn't, but this is a billet aluminum, completely machined, one piece.
Spacer, yeah.
And it is a beautiful spacer that they built for this. And we basically told them what I did there, and they copied it, and this is probably the way to go.
That's a big chunk of aluminum to make that.
Huge.
I'm curious if it was just big round bar stock, I'm guessing.
I would imagine so. But yeah, it's beautiful.
Cool.
Beautiful piece.
Let's get it on there. So our custom fan shroud, he's just putting some weather stripping, or I guess you could say a gasket, on the spots that's going to be touching the radiator, right here.
Yeah, you can leave a little extra. We can cut it off if we can. There you go. We'll go near the bottom too.
And that way it'll seal tight against the radiator, so you're not pulling air before it goes through the cooler side. Because you don't want to do that. You want air to go through the cooler, not like around it. Got some dust on it. Oh, yeah, we've got to do the other side, don't we?
Yeah. And then we got those spacers put up here too.
Yep.
All right. It is time to put this fan on since we got the fan cowling on. So what the plan is we're going to put the fan in first, lean it up against the radiator, just kind of let it sit there, then we'll put the spacer, not my spacer, but their spacer. Put that on, bolt the fan on, and then obviously they've got a couple components that we have to go through, like a hydraulic block here and a few electrical things, and we'll get to that. But right now we want to put the fan on, so, okay. That's shiny. It is the shiniest it'll ever be.
Yeah, never look that good again.
It won't look that good again. You're right. Okay, let's put it on.
I got lots of room. Have we put this on yet?
I haven't put it on yet.
So we don't know if these lined up right?
It's over there lining up. I think it's just paint.
Yeah, got a little tight, the paint.
It's 3/4 wrench going on it.
So the fan's in. We have a signal line here. That takes pressure from your hydraulic system, and that's what then turns the pistons to rotate the props. So what we're gonna do is we gotta poke a hole somewhere. We're trying to figure that out now, whether it's in the side or on our cowling we made, and pull that hose tight. They've got an adapter piece that fits and we'll thread in, and then suck it tight, and then the hose goes over from there. So we're just trying to figure out where to run it, but not a big deal. But just look at that thing. Let's get a better look from back here. Oh yeah. That looks awesome.
I look really good, don't I?
You look so good.
I look so good.
Step careful. Oh man, I can't wait to see that thing spinning. You got a big enough battery on that?
It says high output.
Oh, that is a 12. Oh. Okay. We'll just stick with the 12 then. Well, I think we're gonna tackle something we've been meaning to tackle for a while now, and many of you are probably going, well, why didn't you tackle that back when you should have tackled it? And you're right, we should have tackled it then. It was a good time to tackle it, but we didn't tackle it, so we're gonna tackle it now. And that's the front steps. But the awkward thing is, the height from that platform there to the ground is, it's just not an easy measurement, because what we're dealing with is either we're gonna have 2 steps that are tight, close together, or 1 step with a big step to get to the top. So what we're thinking, to simplify things, we don't want it too low, because if you go through a dip with this tractor, which happened actually one of our tractors this year, this front step here might catch the ground and bend it over. We don't want that. And we're not gonna get a breakaway step, because we're gonna run up and down this thing, and the last thing you wanna do is be running down it and step on a step that's got rubber holding on or something, and it's all shaking on you and twisted. And so we're gonna go with 1 step. You're just gonna have to take a big step, so deal with it. But if you think about it, there's a big step from here to here. That's like 17 and a half, 18 inches. So we're gonna go from here to here, which is like 17 and a half, 19 inches, somewhere in that area. It's like 18. So we're gonna base our bottom step off the height of this steps right here. That's a good place for your foot to go up. We're also gonna have handles here to grab. So it'll just be a nice grab, pull, and step. So those of you that are 6'5", congratulations, we're building this for you. We're under 6 foot, so we're not smart. And I think we're gonna mimic the look of these. It's gonna be wider than this. These had to be narrow because articulating tire comes over, you only have a little room here to put steps. So that's why those are narrow like they are. This is an old steps that came off an authentic Big Bud. We just have it. We're not using that though. So I think we're gonna go like 18 inches wide here. So it'll be a nice wide step, but it'll have handles that go up like this and around on the sides. So real convenient for climbing up and down. So we got our pipe bender here that leg arm's built to bend this 1/2 inch pipe. And I've got the step stick here ready to be cut off in the bandsaw. So I'm gonna figure out the distance and cut it, bend those 2, build a step. If we like it, do a second one. And then we get to prime and paint them like, you know, we just did everything else. But why not do it again? Because I'm kind of missing priming and painting already. It's almost like it just happened. All right, let's bend this. So the mark right there. There it is. Yep. Oh, and missed your foot. Good. There you.
All right. And just like that, we got a nice bend. They turn out pretty well, surprisingly. You might be able to just go from the other side and all.
I don't know where leg arms got all giddy, and he's like, well, let's forget the steps. Let's put the hood on. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Gotta keep him happy. Then we'll get to the steps. First day above 80 degrees Fahrenheit of 2025. It feels good. Oh yeah, that's what it feels like in a cab too at 80 degrees. Air conditioning. What do you guys think?
Huh? Don't.
What's behind your hand there? Oh, of course. Scratch the paint, it's still fresh. It's literally just still tacky in areas, but couldn't resist, had to get it on there. I'll probably have to do a little bit of touch-ups here and there. Put a scratch in the back too right there, we'll clean that up. I'm gonna lift it up, a little bit more underneath, but there's nothing that I have to worry about, like, you know, the white paint falling on as I paint it, right? Because clearly not a condiment. That fan just looks so good right there. Just look at that thing. It just looks awesome. Oh, this black and white contrast is sharp. And then, I got a few of these. I got to drill a new hole, but that'll go right there like that. Nice handle for grabbing, going up and down, use it a lot.
So remember a while back that drive shaft that goes to the back axle from our chain case, or the divider case, divider box, however you want to call it. Do you remember us talking about how that yoke was destroyed? And we pointed this out. This here is not in phase. That's at an angle, and it shouldn't be at an angle. So I'm trying to pull it apart, and it is fused on there. So
Has it ever come apart?
it's never come apart.
Oh, okay.
So what we got to do is we got to take it apart, clean it all up, and put it into the correct position that needs to be. It's taken a lot of force, and that's why I'm using the cherry picker. I do need to get like a pipe wrench and take off the dust cap, remove that a little bit out of the way, but it's like, I just barely started jacking on it, and oh man, that, it wasn't too excited about moving. You know, channel locks might work, we'll see. But yeah, we need to clean it up so we can get it the way it should be, throw some paint on it, and yeah. There we go. There we go. It's moving.
Well, we pulled a bunch of guys, set a pull out there, and black is the color they recommended for the front grill. Traditionally, historically, these were white when Bud first started making buds. In fact, this Bud, I'm sure, it was a white grill. But then they switched to black grills, and it looks sharp. And so you can kind of see the difference with that black radiator back there, white grill, black. So I think we're gonna take it off. It's bolted on, we'll pull off the cross members, put it on the floor, and then when we paint those front steps that we are gonna build, we'll paint that black as well with it and then put it back on. So it'll be sharp black. All right, got out of the shop for a second. Let's just take a look at some of the crop. I'm gonna show you what's been going on. So here's some winter wheat. And it was looking pretty good, but it really hasn't had a rain at all this year. It's just been going off whatever snow was in the ground, and yeah, snow moisture in the ground, and it's getting hard. I mean, it's getting really hard. So it's starting to show its stress. It's really at the stage where it needs sprayed right now for weeds, but we don't want to throw chemical on it because it hurts the crop to spray it. If it's not, it's like imagine being really sick, like you've got the flu, and then they're like, oh, here, take all this medication. It's going to make you even sicker while you have the flu to hopefully prevent you from getting sick later. And you're like, well, it's not a good time to take that medication because I'm really sick. You need to be at full health. Well, that's kind of like the wheat. It needs to be growing and healthy. And if it's short on moisture, it's stressed. And if you dump a bunch of chemical on it, you can really hurt it. And it might not snap out of it. So we're very hesitant to just go ahead and spray it now because it really needs a drink. On the bright side, we're not seeing the weed pressure, you know, that you need, maybe because it's so dry. I don't know. So that's a blessing. So as it turns out, if we don't spray the winter wheat, because it might be out of stage by the time we get rain, we'll just see what happens by harvest. Could have a weed mess, might be clean. Right over here, this is some of the later peas seeded. So I was gonna take a look at it too. They're pretty young. You can see them. Technically, these could use some grass spray, but they're still young enough, so we'll hold off on that. Probably in a week, maybe I might be looking at running the sprayer across all the peas. It's a cheap way to control the grasses, and it's effective, so we'll do that. All right, just a little pass over the field, and this stuff is young. This was some of the last stuff seeded, the spring wheat. And you can see, I'm zoomed in, I'm sorry, there we go. It's coming up, you know, and it's a little bit of moisture down there, just a teeny bit right down there. So it's still got some moisture to work with. So that's good, hasn't sucked all up. We've got a big bud sitting in the field. You're probably wondering, what is that doing there? And the reason is this pea field right over here, it was one of the last pea fields. Everything's the last, that's kind of how it works. This is the last area we farmed. It was rolled, it was dry, and it never got any rain after we rolled it. And so it's just been very dry, and the roller pulverizes the soil. And usually you're okay if you've got good residue, if you get some rain after it, it makes a crust on the surface. Well, what happened was the wind just started howling like it does here, and it started to blow. And with the wind blowing, it started to blow the dust. And then it starts to get worse. Kind of like the Dust Bowl. You guys probably have all heard of that for those that don't know farm blowing. Well, you get the sand or the soil too powdery, it'll start to blow, and as particles slam into other particles slam, it's kind of like a fission reaction. And ends up making a big mess, and you start losing your topsoil. It's at the depth deep, and Dad took the drill and done about 30 acres, maybe not quite that much, 15 to 30 acres, and went opposite with the wind direction, and it stopped the blowing immediately. And it hasn't blown since. So yeah, we might have hurt some of our peas, but we're saving the soil. That's more important than a pea crop, so that's why the bud's there. And we were just left it there in case we need to do more, but it hasn't happened. And if that rain happens next week like they're saying, we might be able to take it back. So maybe I should do that. If I sound a little raggedy, it's because got sick again. So this is cold number 3. I've had the flu twice, and I've had a stomach bug, all in like 3 months. It's been crazy this year, crazy. And yes, I'm pounding thousands of IUs of vitamin D and magnesium and zinc and multivitamins, and trying to get sleep, and sometimes you just can't win. So, but I'm getting over this, and then summer's gonna be here, so no more sickness till next year, right? That'd be great. Here's some fallow that I need to spray at some point here. If you look closely, you can see my nemesis, button kochia, waking up. It's pretty young still. There's some tansies, some winter annuals that are up a lot taller. They start off pretty quick. Kochia doesn't like growing until the ground temperatures get warm enough, but it's pretty matted in this corner here. This is bad, but it's pretty young, so that's good to know, because I really don't want to go and spray the kochia if it's struggling to grow, because it's not going to take the herbicide in very well. So we got to wait for that rain. Pray it happens in 3 days, 4 days, and if that rain happens, everything's going to perk up and everything will be ready to either A, take the herbicide, or B, just grow like a rocket. So let's pray that happens.